All right, let me just go through the spiel to make this professional. Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Garbage, part of the Oscar Reel Movie Podcast, where we discuss ridiculous movies that maybe we remember from our childhood, maybe not. Please, if you can, leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a review, maybe let us know what your favorite part of any of the shows that we do on this podcast are. But yeah, give us a like if you're watching this on YouTube. All of that helps us grow awareness, grow our audience. Today we've got Rumble in the Bronx on tap to talk about from 1995, starring Jackie Chan. As always, and when I say always, I mean 3 times. Quinn is here with me, and 2 times Bo. This is a movie I had a lot of potential and hope for going into it. This one I remembered being fucking amazing, and this was definitely a mess. Basically, the premise of this movie, here's a quick IMDb summary. A young man visiting and helping his uncle in New York City finds himself forced to fight a street gang and the mob with his martial arts skills. To start with, my biggest thing with this movie is I don't know how to classify. Like, Drunken Master was a somewhat serious movie that had some comical parts in it. This, I don't know I can't make a sense on what the comedy or the drama. Like, they kind of play both, and I don't know which lane to put it in. Like, is this a comedy with action parts or a drama with action? Because it seems like it wants
both.
Yeah, like
it doesn't steer into one side.
It seems like it wants to be somewhat serious, but then at the same time, you have a movie where they run over a mob boss with a hovercraft. I did think the supermarket fight scene in the beginning was awesome. It kind of set up the movie to me to be a more serious movie, but then I immediately knew what it was, because in the middle of the fight, Angelo, the blonde character, just in the middle of the fight, Jackie Chan looks at me, turns around, just runs into a pole. So just immediately I knew what this movie was going to be with these street gangs, who they remind me of Mad Max. Quinn, you said Mad Max characters, but I also thought of Back to the Future Part 2 with Griff, and when they're in the future with Griff and all those guys, they're just tweaked out. These are just tweaked out caricatures.
You have a scene where they're shoving guys into
naked
wood chippers. They definitely were not going for comedy.
I swear. I like how the fight scenes at night are just clearly indoor sets with them fighting on what looks like cardboard buildings, or just total makeshift sets. It's just, that shit's hilarious to me. The baseball scene with those bottles. I still can't believe how ridiculous that scene is. Like you said, the trope of let's not kill a guy, let's just mess around with him. And have you ever seen that in a movie where you wrap a baseball bat with like a shirt and they just go to town on bottles at someone?
How does that not break as soon as you hit it? Every single time.
I think that's what the theory was of wrapping the shirts around.
Yeah.
That was, but it still is like, I mean, if you're hitting the things hard enough, there's no way they're not breaking.
Like, they put bottles on his head and he's like freaking out, like tweaking out some more, and they're just hitting bottles off his head. I don't know. It's just, I couldn't help but laugh at it. I wasn't like,
it was so over the top.
Not to mention they're like all MLB players. They're just accurate as hell. They're hitting these bottles. They're all flying within like 2 feet of his head, and it's like, I can't even hit a baseball off a tee that accurate. Let alone bottles.
Very true. I forgot about the wood chipper part, because Bo, that was like you said that was the thing you remember the most from this movie, right? Like, it kind of traumatized you or something.
Yeah. I literally had to pause it for like at 30, 35, 40 minutes in. I forgot what it was, and I had to Google. Like, I literally Googled Jackie Chan movie wood chipper to just make sure that I just didn't lead us on a path that didn't exist.
No
and then
wood
before
chipper.
I came up with Rumble in the Bronx, it's like, okay, it's coming up. And then, not even 5 minutes. It's like the scene of him. I thought it was so much more dramatic, but I remember there
not
being...
even in main characters.
No, it's 2 dudes that you learn about exist 10 seconds before it happens. Like, they just grab them and then drag them and then throw the one guy. And I remember him going back to wherever to show his buddies that his
Oh, his body parts.
Yeah, that Lance just got thrown through a wood chipper with a garbage bag. I do remember that, but I thought it was so much more dramatic as a kid. If I saw that now, I'd just be like,
it's definitely not on par with Fargo.
It is kind of fucked up how they just show up with him in like garbage bags. So like, just looking in the bag, like, what's this? Oh fuck!
It's honestly such a badass move if you really could like make it into something that's more
serious,
just a better film. Serious. Yeah, just in general, something serious. Because I was thinking, I've just started watching, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I just started watching The Sopranos, and I've just made it through season 2. And one of the things, I was thinking about it when I was thinking about the trope thing, how like they always let somebody go or whatever. Or they like, I'm not going to kill him, we're going to beat him up, and then that guy ends up leaving. And it seems like The Sopranos does so well with just putting someone out or making something out of misery. And not that The Sopranos would ever put anybody through a wood chipper because that might be too dramatic. But it's like if a show or a good movie knows how to like take a killing and make it like feel real, you know, not real, but like a sense of realism behind it. That like grounded. Kind of, what was that?
More grounded.
Yeah. And that just, it seemed kind of absurd type of thing when they did it. It didn't feel like it had any emotion to it. It was just disturbing. That's all it was. It's like, that'd be a gross way to die. Yeah, now I think about it. That'd be a horrible. Also, the only other thing I could think about is it would have been way more disturbing if they put him in feet first. They put him in head first, and it's like, you're done. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, he didn't suffer at all.
You can't see his face, like, freaking out or things like that. Yeah,
it would have been really disturbing if they went feet first. You could have talked about the trope too, how of course the black guy was the guy that got put through the wood chipper.
Yeah, or I didn't know whether to bring this up or not, but his uncle like is getting remarried, and
that was hilarious.
He's just marrying some African American woman. All right,
that was a trope though of like him like seeing the Asian woman, the Chinese woman, and was like,
thinking that was who he was going to marry.
Yeah, and then, of course, like this loud, boisterous black woman storms the screen.
Awesome. I forgot about that. That was actually really good. That's when I was like, oh, it's a comedy. It's going to be like Drunken Master. No.
Nope.
Yeah. You're right. There's a lot of comedy. That and the window or the one-way mirror trope.
I wrote down some things. One thing, some of the worst gun noises I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it is the mixture between an airsoft rifle and like a Star Wars gun. It's like, it's not going to come through well in the mic, but they're shooting off Uzis, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like a gun. It sounds like a pathetic, like a toy, like a kid's toy.
I did not even realize that, but it doesn't surprise me.
During the fight scenes, like the hitting noises are like that cliche comical. They're like not even touching the people, and it sounds like a big smack.
Oh, speaking of not even touching people, one thing I wrote down in the beginning when he meets Danny, and they take him out to go to the bus, and he gets on the whatever, call it the little elevator that takes him up into the bus. He handshakes his uncle. Danny handshakes his uncle, like the typical, like just connect the hands, and Jackie Chan is waving, and it looks like he's going to go for it, like a handshake as well. And Danny opens up his hand and totally goes for the handshake, and Jackie Chan just waves and walks by him. Like,
I missed that.
I actually went back and looked. I was like, did he leave him hanging? It honestly looked like he just totally ignored the handshake routine. You need to go back and check it out, because I was actually laughing. I was like, I can't believe that the Danny Kim wasn't like, we should maybe redo that one, because kind of looked awkward.
Pretty much other than Jackie Chan, everyone in this movie is like a caricature, because even the cops. So in this movie, Angelo, in this movie that we get introduced to the street gang who are just tweaked out characters, like I said, from like, they remind me Back to the Future Part 2 with Griff and his gang. They end up stealing diamonds from these guys who randomly get in a car crash, which I don't fully understand. And they're running away from these guys who think or assume that they're part of the FBI, which they're clearly not. they shoot up Angelo, or chasing Angelo, who stashes the diamonds in Danny's wheelchair pillowcase. And then the police show up and they arrest the guys who did the shooting, but they can't convict them because, there's no fingerprints on the guns because, they were wearing gloves or whatever. Like, these cops, did you not do your job? Did you not interview like Jackie Chan or someone who lived in that building? Because there are plenty of witnesses to them shooting, but then they say they can't convict them. They have to let them free. This movie everyone just seemed fake. The cops were inept. The street gang were not real people. They're just people driving around in go-karts. And the mob boss, the White Tiger, is absolutely not a real person, which, we'll talk about later. But this movie was just ridiculous in not all the wrong ways, but in a way that definitely kind of put me off.
Good comedy moment was when he was finding the diamonds in the apartment, trying to. Well, he knew where they were, and he was that big, tough guy. Like, he punched him in the face, and the guy looked at him, and then Danny started throwing him like a football, whacked him over the head, and then a pipe wrench.
I actually had that written down. I forgot to bring it up. You're right. That was good. That reminded me of like Pulp Fiction. When Bruce Willis is like walking through the store and he picks up like a bat.
Oh yeah, he's like
sets it down, picks up like a chainsaw, sets it down, and then picks up like a katana, like a sword. And he's like, "Yeah, this will work." Yeah, that was a good one. I like how that guy, mullet guy, right? That's who he was fighting. Yeah. Just some dude with a giant mullet.
Yeah, cliche 90s bad guy.
Another caricature. Love it. So how long did it take you guys to realize that the store owner, Elaine, is the same actress who's the stepmom in Drunken Master? I probably didn't realize it until they tear down like the supermarket and she's in the bathroom, and that's kind of her most ridiculous part in the movie, and it just reminded me of her character in Drunken Master.
I didn't want to just assume that one the store owner was the same girl as the stepmom in the previous movie.
Well, so these movies, just like Drunken Master and this one, the credits are kind of not outtakes, but extra scenes from like when they were filming the movie. Mm-hmm. I forgot, or I didn't know, Jackie Chan like broke his leg or ankle.
Oh, I saw that jumping on the hovercraft.
So I just had here like how they should have how funny it would have been if they would have just had the rest of the movie like Jackie Chan's character had a legit broken ankle and tried to catch these guys down. I mean, that would have been.
No, that would have been. No, doesn't make sense. Actually, now he's got a bionic leg and he can shoot lasers out of the bottom of it.
That would have been more likely the writing for it, honestly.
The cast, they just gave him a giant sock that looked like a shoe painted on it, and that's how he did his stunts afterwards. That was pretty funny.
Did you hear he did some chase scenes in a wheelchair? They did close-up shots, and he made it look like he was running, and he was literally in a wheelchair.
I did not.
He said that. I read it. I can't imagine like trying to actively pretend you're running in a wheelchair, and like still make it look like you're running. But obviously it worked because I didn't notice it until I read about it.
When you got a $7.5 million budget, you got to work with what you got, I guess.
Right.
My favorite Jackie Chan stunts are, besides like the crazy prop fight scenes, are when he jumps through really tiny holes, like improbable holes. He just jumps up a wall and it's like, like it squiggles through a hole.
Maria just yelled
same every time he does it.
Maria just yelled "same."
Yeah,
she just heard you. She's like, "Same."
He does it in every single movie.
Two things about this, two different stunts in here is one, I didn't know if it was real, but then I don't know if you really watched the after credits about him learning how to like essentially barefoot ski and then lay on his back and deal with
was that him?
Yeah. He literally learned it. Like,
my goodness.
I don't know if you watched after, literally shows in the post credits, like him trying to do it or like learning how to do it. And it's nuts because I didn't know if it was real or not. And then they showed him like, actually being taught how to go about it. And to me, that's just insane. Like,
he's like going on his back and like, yeah, that was great. I totally forgot about that part in that whole last 30 minutes of nuts.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say that I read too is that jump that he made when he was trying to escape from the parking garage to the apartment
across
complex.
the alley.
Yeah, I guess he really did it. It was a 28-foot jump. And the director, Stanley Tong, I think his name was,
Yep.
who I guess is like a decorated stuntman himself or has been in stunts in movies, whatever. He did it because he said for every movie he's in, he'll never ask a guy to do a stunt that he wouldn't do himself. Mm-hmm. And so he went and did it. He did it with harnesses and wires on, but Jackie Chan said he didn't feel like it'd be authentic if he did it with the harnesses and wires. So he made a 28-foot jump up those stories with no protection. I mean, maybe they had a mat down below just in case, but
I don't know what a mat's going to do.
I was going to say, there's a lot of damage potential regardless.
He lands and it's like nothing too. It's not like it was a hallway he landed into. He landed on a stair landing or something. There's like 5 feet there.
One of the things that I wrote down, because this is one of the fact things during my, once in a lifetime research that I ever do about anything in my life. Roger Ebert. I'm not a big movie buff, but I know who he is. But he said, and I think this sums up not just this movie, but every Jackie Chan movie. He said, any attempt to defend this movie on rational grounds is futile. Don't tell me about the plot and the dialogue. Don't dwell on the acting. The whole point is Jackie Chan. And he was relating him to Fred Astaire, said, and like Astaire and Rogers, he does what he does better than anybody. And I was like, this is just another example.
One of a kind, that's for sure. There's no Jackie Chan. It's just Jackie Chan.
I had that same review as something to potentially say. That's the perfect way to put this movie.
Didn't mean to steal your thunder, Matt.
No.
You gotta act like I know what I'm talking about.
No, that's perfect. That means that it was something worthwhile to bring up. I guess the fact that we both had it, because that's the best way to look at this movie. Don't dwell on the acting. That's for damn sure.
Or the story.
It's just so goofy. It was kind of painful just watching. Not painful, but I don't know. Watching them in their go-karts and their spiked outfits, their Mad Max outfits, like you said, Quinn. Just pushing trucks over buildings and just destroying shit. I'm like, this isn't real life. I feel like this movie is supposed to be a little more serious than this, but this is just so ridiculous. It was nuts. And this isn't even that long of a movie. It's less than an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was quick. That's all of a sudden I was looking at the time and it was 45 minutes in, and I was like, wait a minute, there's only 40 minutes left.
Yeah.
This hasn't gone anywhere yet. One of the other things I just reading through things I wrote down too is when they originally pulled down the supermarket and the whole scene where she's in the bathroom and all that.
Oh yeah.
He was inside the building for, I don't know, let's even say 20 minutes. And when he walks downstairs, there's just massive chains linking throughout the entire store to pull it down. Nobody would have heard or seen these people hooking up these chains to tow trucks and all throughout the building to rip it down. Again, I guess it goes back to the don't tell me about the plot thing, but
yeah, just give me some action scenes and a loose plot. And
I think that was the problem, though, when it comes to that. It didn't have as many A-grade action scenes as it did have good ones, but not as good as Legend of the Drunken Master, or not as consistent.
Those action scenes were much better. This one relied on way too much Hollywood type action scenes, where the Drunken Master was just really good choreography and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think the one that
go for it.
Was in the appliance store was good. The one with all the refrigerators and stuff. It was unique.
Oh, we're in the gang hideout.
Yeah, exactly. And
was that when? Do we think that refrigerators are the most versatile item to fight with? Right? They're amazing. You can hit them in the with the main door. Bam, pop them right in the head with the front one. You can throw people in them and trap them. I think Jackie Chan at one point rolls over top one of them to hit multiple or fight multiple people. They're pretty amazing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. And pinball machines.
I at least thought they were pretty creative with it. Which is, better than most fight scenes you see these days. But that's what you expect from Jackie Chan. He's usually pretty good about using props.
I mean, it's really crazy stuff. That was one of the better fight scenes for sure. That might have been, what was the best one? That might have been the best one in the movie.
I think that was the best one.
I mean, one was just a chase scene where he gets lured in with the girl getting attacked, and then it's just a chase scene for 10 minutes.
That's the thing. Like, Drunken Master ended on a really good fight, because that's the whole point of these movies, right? It's Jackie Chan. You want to see fight scenes. This one just ended with him, like we said, like in a hovercraft,
running over a guy,
running over. Quinn, dive into it. What did you think of the hovercraft part?
I mean, so unnecessary. And not only is it a hovercraft, but now the hovercraft is going on land. It's going down the middle of the street.
To be fair, you couldn't go on land with a boat.
What?
So to be fair, you can't go on land with a boat. So the hovercraft makes sense.
Definitely can't. We're going to go on the golf course. Oh, let's take this thing down with a freaking medieval sword on, was that a DeLorean or an old Lamborghini or something?
Lamborghini for sure. Like,
just peels the paint off.
What?
That was it never pops until he happens to have the sword too attached to this Lamborghini.
That was another thing where the cops are like, we can't stop it.
Like, just shoot the rubber.
Shoot the rubber out. He takes
can we talk about how the cops just start firing? They all just get on top of cars at that intersection and are just firing randomly. It reminded me of like a Blues Brothers like thing. They were just all like, gosh, you're just firing everywhere. It's like not even remotely accurate. And how did Jackie Chan not rip his goddamn arms off trying to rip the side of it apart with the sword?
Yeah, no, yeah.
He's like, I'm just gonna handle this one.
I mean, for sure, going that fast at the hovercraft, he would have just, as soon as he would have hit it, he probably would have just got.
Oh, the video of it too, like the shot of the car going, it just looks like it's just set up. It's like a remote control car. It does not look.
That's probably what it was. There's no way they did that for real.
I also love too how he was in like downtown. I mean, it didn't even look like obviously it was shot in Vancouver, but it didn't look like the Bronx at that point. And it looked like they were straight up at a harbor, like close to Manhattan. And Jackie Chan's getting in the hovercraft that suddenly is duct taped and ready to go. And they're like, he's on the 17th hole.
Yeah. And what golf course would let them drive a hovercraft across their entire grounds?
To be fair, who's going to stop that giant hovercraft from driving across their grounds?
Unless you have a Lamborghini and a giant Middle Eastern. How do they go from destroying the hovercraft to using it 5 minutes later and he's still playing the same round?
Duct tape. Yeah, we've been over this. We covered that.
What?
You didn't notice the giant duct tape?
It makes no sense.
Like a strip down the side of duct tape.
Duct tape just fixes all. I mean, there's planes out there, they just duct tape the propeller, right? Like, it's fine. Things are fine.
Beginner's guide to engineering, duct tape and WD-40.
What are you doing? What? What's the point? And not only is it not the cops, it's some guy that worked at a freaking convenience store. Hey, you go take down this huge drug syndicate. Oh, let's throw the kid in there and also your girlfriend.
You know, like I said, the American dub removes the fact that he's a Hong Kong cop. If we knew that, maybe it makes a little more sense because, like, at least he's a cop, so you can let him take care of it. But without knowing it, the fact that they just let, like you said, this random guy like get in a hovercraft and take down this mob boss, like, that makes zero sense to me. Running over a guy on a golf course, which maybe this is just me because I enjoy golf. Why did they have a crowd like on the course watching him play?
They had a gathering, like what it called.
They did. They're like, is
gallery?
Gallery. They had a gallery for just three guys golfing.
And then there's another trope because there's enough tropes in the movie that they run him over with the hovercraft and he's stripped naked and you see his butt and like that's like classic humor. Just dude getting stripped by a hovercraft and he's still alive. He's moving.
How is he not dead? That thing has to weigh tons.
And they ran over Jackie Chan earlier with the hovercraft. I like how it's, they're chasing him. They're like, let's kill him. And they try running him over with
in
a
the
hovercraft.
sand.
And he's pushed down in the sand. Like, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Jackie Chan dramatically picks up this girl who's about to get run over by the hovercraft and tosses what is clearly a doll to the mom.
Are we done with Rumble in the Bronx? Because this movie just needs to be laid to rest.
I don't know. Would you call it? It's not good. Probably. Is it good? Bad? I don't think it's garbage.
Bad.
It's probably just bad. I don't know.
I would say it's bad.
I'd say bad. I don't think it's so horrible. I think it has entertaining
parts to it, but
Jackie Chan, like we just said a million times, it's Jackie Chan. I don't know if Jackie Chan can literally make an unentertaining movie at some point, but he probably has. But
I'm quite the discography or the videography or filmography, whatever you want to call it.
I say he has, but it's all like late 2000s, early. It's recent stuff where
he starts getting into the age where he's 60 and can't
water. I'm looking up his movies right now to see if he's got any out there. I mean, there's a couple here from the last two years.
Well, the thing, a lot of his bad stuff, I would say, is like probably kids. Like it's meant for kids instead of like the martial art movies that are more adult. I know I said this last time we talked, but The Medallion is not a good movie. Around the World in 80 Days, that terrible remake. That's the thing. Like I think his bad stuff is what you'd consider a kid, like The Spy Next Door. Like that movie fucking sucks. It's a kid's movie though.
We try and pick a movie for next time.
Yeah,
stick with Jackie Chan, or should we move something else for a minute?
We could, whatever you guys want to do. The one that I had is another Jack. Yeah, that's the one that I remember the most.
Strike.
I did watch it at one point, but
let's do it. Let's watch First Strike. I mean, we have it already, so.
So yeah, thanks for joining us on the Good, the Bad, and the Garbage, part of the Oscar Reel Movie Podcast. So please tell a friend about it. You guys tell your family about it. Tell them you can listen to some of your friends who really don't know anything ramble on about some ridiculous movies. Maybe it brings some entertainment for a little while. So yeah, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram at Oscar Reel Pod for both. And yeah, we'll see you next time.